we have Jordan Williams back on the show. He returns to action next Friday night in the co-main event of LFA 84 on UFC Fight Pass. Going to take on UFC veteran Kyle Stewart. What a fight this is going to be at 185 pounds. Jordan, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, brother. How about yourself?
Doing great. It's great to have you back on. We're 8 days away from this fight. It's a big fight for you, one of the bigger names that you've had the opportunity to face. How excited are you for this test?
I mean, man, excitement. I mean, that's not even the first feeling that I have. I'm just relieved that they're able to find me an opponent. I've had at least 2 or 3 people drop out on the way leading up to this card. So just the fact that, you know, they found the name, let alone a big one for me to come up on the ranks on, is just it's more than exciting to me.
Obviously, there's a lot going on in the world right now, and in the U.S. we got coronavirus spreading like crazy, and a lot of sports leagues and organizations are jumping out in front of this thing, trying to take precautions with empty arena shows, postponing, even canceling events outright at this point. This is a pretty scary time we're in. How are you sort of dealing with everything with your health mentally, and even, I guess, not knowing if this fight is even going to happen?
Well, I mean, there's enough pressure as it is, just being a fighter, trying to get mentally prepped to step in the cage. So all this coronavirus bullshit and all that stuff, I mean, I'm in one of the dirtiest environments every day of my life. I'm in the gym. Like, you know, everyone's exchanging everything, bodily fluids, between blood, sweat, you know, people who don't put on their shoes when they go into the bathroom and out. So you're dealing with all sorts of, you know, different shit. And, you know, I trust my body. I trust my immune system. It's nothing that my body hasn't already prepped against staph and all these other flu viruses and all that shit that comes with the natural environment of a gym. So I'm cool. I mean, it's just maybe if they start canceling, you know, these shows that I'm on, then I'll start to worry. But I haven't heard of any UFC, any LFA, or any organizations like that shutting down those shows. So right now I'm just chugging ahead full steam and just getting ready for, like, this fight's just going to happen.
Yeah, there's reports coming out that tomorrow's UFC event's going to be held in an empty arena. Yep. That's what's happening.
Thanks for the update. I didn't know.
I have a feeling that the empty arena may be what might happen. We'll see what happens in the next week or so. But you just fought on the Contender Series. You've done it twice, so it's nothing really crazy and new to you, right?
Exactly. I mean, an empty arena, actually, I mean, yeah, it's not that crazy for me now you're saying that they might be having them with, you know, our event. I mean, still, it's like, yeah, I was on the Contender Series, and man, it was so quiet in that building. You could hear a pin drop when you're walking out and everything. You're just like, and even after your fight, everyone's like they'll cheer for you right away, and then after they're like just nervous because everyone in the building is wondering if they or their loved one is going to get that contract. So it's the whole time it basically feels like an empty arena.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's a kind of a tough spot to be in right now, but we're going to try to stay positive here heading into this fight with Kyle Stewart. Let's talk about the Contender Series. Last time we saw you compete was over the summer. You took on Ramazan Kuramagomedov, and man, what a freaking fight that was. You went in there as a big underdog. You performed great. You lost a split decision in a super close fight. You had to have taken a lot away from a war like that, did you not?
Yeah. I mean, I thought I won the fight, and a lot of people thought I won the fight, but, you know, that's a different conversation. But what I took away from that is I did win that. I mean, I did, like, drop him a couple of times, and he didn't really rock me at all during the fight. But after that fight, man, I was like, I turned down every interview. I turned down any public event speaking at, just because my brain was a little bit slow at the time. And the biggest thing I took away from that performance was that, it was an awesome performance, but I need to change up my style, move more to the side more, and just kind of like, just not take as much unnecessary damage while I'm dishing out my own. That's the main thing I took away from that fight, besides the fact that I believe I can compete with the strongest in the world, from the strongest countries in the world. I mean, man, I fought a guy from Dagestan over there in some of those regions. Man, they're still shitting over holes in the ground, and I'm coming from a nice, pleasant, plumbed country. So just like, you know, I took away from that, just like, I can hang with anyone in the world from wherever. So that's the biggest thing I took away.
Not only did a lot of people feel like you won that fight, but there are many people that, even if they thought you lost, thought you and Ramazan both deserved contracts that night. And I was one of those people. I had scored her for you, and I thought you should have got a contract, but I'm sure you were bummed it didn't happen. But that was one of the best fights in Contender Series history. Did that performance, despite the loss and not getting the contract, were you still able to leave Vegas with your head held high, knowing that you left everything out there that night?
I mean, well, I left it as high as I could without people seeing my face and everything. I'm not kidding, but I mean, yeah, I was after that fight, and I mean, when I was getting stitched up in the back, I was like kind of like tearing up, like, man, this is so bullshit and everything. And then after I left the arena, it kind of like I was starting to settle down, and it's just like, man, my brothers and my family, they were all amped up and just pissed off and just like telling me, and I could see my brother, he was like, and I was kind of fine at that point because I was just relieved that the fight was, I mean, it was such a big build up for the fight. It was like, you know, someone who I like, kind of like was cautious about. I knew he was a tough fighter, another undefeated fighter. So after that fight, I was just kind of like relieved that, you know, it was over. And then I could just, and I was kind of joking around at dinner, and my brother, I could just see him gleaming at me, just like glaring at me. And then later on, he was just like, man, I just don't understand why you're not so pissed off, dude. I'm just so angry. Like, you know what? Like, I did my job. I did my thing. Like, you know, at that point, it's just kind of like it's a mental release, and you're doing yourself a good favor by just like kind of letting go and just and moving on to the next step. But you obviously you carry on a lot of that with you as fuel to ignite the you know, the burn for the next fight. But you know, you got to give yourself a mental break as well as a physical one. So that, I mean, I did leave my head held high for my own sense of mental security, and yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
You talk about shuffling through a lot of different opponents to get to this point. You were actually supposed to fight tomorrow, if memory serves me correctly, for Unified MMA. You're supposed to fight KB Buller, and that fight was canceled because he got injured. But we're rifling through opponents, and then you get a new fight, and you get a UFC veteran in Kyle Stewart. It's a pretty good consolation prize, is it not?
Oh no, it is. Let me just say, okay, so the thing that happened with KB Buller, it was kind of iffy. An undefeated fighter. And they want to put his belt up against the line. 3 weeks away from the fight, he randomly gets hurt, and then they're like, hey, by the way, this guy got hurt, but would you still like to fight out here at 190 so the belt's not on the line. And you're going to fight at 190 against someone from the same gym, and on a 3 week notice, or I was like, oh, man, like, and I was talking to my managers presented to me this, and I was like, man, I really want to take this fucking fight. I mean, I really want to fight him, but he can't make 185. And then my manager called me like, hey, man, let's just cancel this one. They already pulled out the goal, the belt. And it's just this guy's probably walking around at 210. And I actually went through a lot of weight loss. After training last night, I was 176. I'm trying to gain weight back, you know, to be a good size 185er. And so they said, let's cancel that. It sounds like a weird story that they're fucking pulling a fast one on us. And then they tried to send me an LFA in Denver, and on April 4th on that card against some guy I think named Anthony Adams, Sugarfoot he goes by, whatever. He wasn't feeling that sweet about fighting me because they offered me the fight in his hometown, Denver, in the Mile High City, and they turned it down. They didn't want anything to do with me. So, like, KB Buller backed out. This guy, Anthony Adams, backed out. So then they finally got me a fight on LFA 84 facing, you know, Kyle Stewart. So, I mean, that's how it was shuffled. I mean, it was kind of like they were just shuffling through fighters and trying to find one. I mean, it is a big confidence booster, but, you know, it's like, man, these people need to stop being pussies and just step up. Someone needs to fight me. I mean, honestly.
It's funny you mentioned the weight loss and stuff, because I do notice it. I was going to ask you about it, if you've been dieting or if you've been shredding up a little bit. When did you make the decision to start doing that? Because I noticed it right away, just on this little screen here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. A lot of people said they know, like, you know, they can see it on my face and just everywhere. But what it was is I was one of those people where I watched what was that that documentary on Netflix that everyone and their mom has seen. Oh, The Game Changers. So yeah. I saw that, and I was like, all right, well, maybe I need to cut out meat. You know what I'm saying? And I already don't eat dairy because it doesn't sit well with my stomach. So I eat meat maybe about once a week. So other than that, I'm like 95% vegan. I put the only times I eat meat or in dairy is cheese on my cheeseburgers, creamer in my coffee, and maybe I might cheat and go out and get a burger once a week. So I'm basically like 95% vegan, and all that weight kind of shredded off me. But I feel great with my energy. I've never had this much energy weighing so light. Usually when I weigh like 176 at the end of the day, I'm like all sucked up and dry and I can't move around. But now it's like with this new diet change, my management and I we're kind of looking at making the transition back down to 170s. I mean, because let's just be honest. I think I won every fight at 185, and every fight has been a finish. I finished every fight at 185 besides the last one, which everyone else said was a great performance. And apparently UFC just doesn't want to see me at 185. I don't know if they're being not open about it or whatever. And even my management said something. They're like, we think that it's going to be a lot bigger shot to get you in the UFC at a lower weight class. So I took the change upon myself to make that diet change. And then when you make a diet change like that, I was like, well, fuck it. Let's just stop eating candy. Let's just stop doing all this other bad stuff. And like, my only cheats I have are basically sometimes I'll have a beer every other night or something, or the flaming hot Cheetos, man. Those are the only things that get me off my diet. Flaming hot, man. I don't know what it is about them.
It's the crunch too,
Sitting
man.
there with tears in my fucking eye. I know, and I hated them as a kid. Like hot, spicy food as a kid, and I grew up. I was like, oh my god, these are kind of good.
So you fair to say that this is going to be your last fight at 185? Do you feel like that's the case?
I would like it. I mean, if my diet changes and the weight loss is going as planned, I would like it to be my last one at 85. Even though I love the comfortability, I love how I've been performing, and I love my results at 185. I think as a team, as a structure between my management, myself, my head coach, we're all leaning back towards if we can make the cut down to 170, like why not? Let's just try it.
Is Kyle a guy that you've been following or paying attention to while he was in the UFC? I know he was on the Contender Series as well. He's fought for LFA a bunch of times. Has he been on your radar at all?
No, I don't even know who he is. I mean, honestly, I heard he does some karate. His fucking ground game sucks. I mean, I respect him as a fighter. I respect that he's fought at the top level, but I was watching. The only time I know who he was is when they threw his name in front of me, and I watched him his fights. He lost the fight against Eric Koch against 185. I think an interview after that said that he had a bad weight cut. Well, take all the weight you need, homie. Like for this fight, you're gonna need it because I'm not no Eric Koch, and I know how to wrestle, and I know how to bang. So it's just like, I haven't really focused on him at all. I didn't know who he was at all until they put him on the plate in front of me for me to feed up on him.
So you don't really look at this kind of a matchup from a stylistic perspective at all? You don't really kind of break it down in that sense? You're just kind of worried about yourself. Is that accurate?
Well, I mean, I wasn't. No. I didn't know who he was as a fighter before, and obviously I think every professional should study their opponent and come up with a game plan, and not just leave it to like I don't know. Some people like Don Cerrone and other people they don't even like to study their opponent. They don't even like to look at footage because they just. I don't know why. Sometimes I used to be that way. It used to be like nerve-wracking, and your stomach starts to like go. Your chest starts to go into your stomach like weeks before the fight, just starting to watch him. But I feel like that's a very necessary and appropriate thing to do is to visualize and put a visual on your fighter, study him, start to formulate a game plan. I'm gonna be expecting him to throw some head kicks, throw some teeps, throw some karate shit. But he really doesn't do good fighting off the cage. He really doesn't do good getting back onto his feet. So, I mean, stylistically wise, I'm going to throw that into my arsenal, but really, if I need to. But really, it's just I feel like I can finish this fight anywhere on the feet or anywhere. So I do have a game plan. I do study for him. And it's not like I'm not just or it's not like I'm just worried about myself, but myself and my comfort is my main concern.
Where does a win over Kyle Stewart put you in the grand scheme of things? Like that has to jump your stock up quite a bit, especially coming off that Contender Series war you just had that, left a great taste in everybody's mouth, except for probably yours and your family's after getting the decision read. But where do you think that win puts you?
I mean, man, if I'm not already still being a prospect in the UFC, man, it's just like, I don't know. I mean, if that's where I'm expecting is to be, I expected my shell never to have left the vision of the UFC, and if I come in there and I just I show a nice performance, maybe even get a finish on this guy. I mean, that and the fact that my management is they're basically pulling teeth to find fighters for me to fight. I'm only 8-3-1, and it's still like they can't find anyone for me to fight. And I believe I have like one of the best management for me in the world. Like, Iridium, they have a lot of fighters. They get me out with a lot of exposure. I mean, I love Jay House and LaChao and all the management team, but it's just like there's only so much they can do. Like, I mean, we're at a point where it's just like if I keep performing like how I'm performing, where am I gonna go besides the UFC?
How frustrating is that for you that they're having such a hard time finding fights for you?
I mean, really, I mean, it is. And again, I'm not frustrated at my management at all. I love my management. I love the work they do. Shout out to Iridium, but it's just like I offer the fly out to Canada, go across borders, fight this guy, turns down the fight. I offer to go into the Mile High City in Denver, turns down the fight. The only people who are willing to fight me are people who have tasted that top level game. And like Kyle Stewart, he's got a taste of it. He wants another one. He wants another go at it. And basically, that's the only type of competition that we've been able to find across international borders for me.
So you're looking to finish Kyle Stewart. Obviously, that's going on next Friday. But I have to ask you, this might be the most important question that I ask you today. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate your golf game? Because I saw that video you posted on Instagram. Is it fair to say we're probably not going to see you on the PGA Tour anytime soon?
Hey, man, I need to work on my stance and keep my feet planted and all that. I don't think you're going to see me in the PGA or the celebrity PGA anytime soon, man. Like, that is very fair to assume that.
And that was your brother you were golfing with?
Yeah, my brother actually has really good form, man. He's
nice and smooth.
I was like, man, this guy's a golfer. He's over here just like, hey, but to my defense, with horrible technique, man, we were playing hole for hole, and we tied. At the end of the day, we tied. You know what I'm saying? Like, I found the way, like in the fights, man, I found the way to keep it close, man.
How many times have you golfed before?
Are you a good golfer, by the way?
Oh, God,
What's that?
How many times have you golfed before? Is that like a handful of times?
Ooh, I mean, okay, don't let my grandpa hear this, because my grandpa's an excellent golfer and he loves golfing. I haven't golfed that much, man. It's like maybe let's just say like what you said, a handful of times. I would like to get a couple more handful of times before I post another video on Instagram, but
I will say,
we'll see if that actually happens.
I golf probably a lot more than you have over your life, but I don't. Let's just say, to be fair, I don't golf for the scores. I golf because it's just like relaxing and fun. Like, I suck at it. I break 100. Like, there was a time where I played a lot and I was shooting in the upper 70s, but that was a long time ago. That was before marriage and before having a kid. Like, everything changed after that. So I'm lucky if I get out 2 or 3 times a year at this point.
Okay. Oh, yeah, man, that's a lot more than me.
Yeah, my dad, who's in his 60s, just crushes me every time we play. Beats me 15, 20 strokes, just hits the ball off the tee like 125 yards. We make fun of him. But then he's so good around the green, just puts everything within 2 feet. I'm just like, drive me crazy. But, well, hopefully this fighting thing continues to pan out for you, Jordan. And the story continues next Friday night. LFA 84, you take on Kyle Stewart. Big fight, 185 pounds. Great co-main event for that event. Jordan, appreciate the time, man. Before we let you go, let the folks know where they can find you on social media, shout-outs, anything else you want to get off your chest. The floor is yours.
All right, thanks, Mike. All right, so, Instagram, you can find me at Boomaye, MMA. I know it's kind of hard. It's Bomaye, MMA. Facebook, Jordan Williams. My Twitter tag is jwill_NCFA. Those are all my platforms that you can find me on the social grounds. my sponsors I want to shout out a big or send a big shout out to is Precision Farms, the high quality agricultural company that just started a couple years ago, and they're out here in Sonoma County doing big things. I'd also like to make a big shout out to another sponsor, Julian Solano. He is the best realtor in Sonoma County, hands down. He will get you the house, he'll get you rentals, houses, anything you need at a fair price, especially in California, which is a hard thing to find. You got to hit up my man Julian. He's the guy. I got to give a big shout out to my head coach Dave Terrell. Thank you for keeping me fresh, sharp, and obviously beat me the hell down to this training camp through all the hard workouts. And I got to show love to my big brother, all my training partners. I don't want to throw out names and then forget a couple, so all my training partners at NCFA. I like to show out another big training partner. I've been sparring with the #4 kickboxer in the world, Matt Baker from Glory. Man, shout out to you. Thank you for, chopping up my legs, just chopping me up and getting me ready for this fight. And everyone, all my sparring partners at Combat Fitness, I really appreciate everyone. Everyone's been really helping me, really welcoming to me at any gym I go to. My coach, also my boxing coach, Jerry the barber. He's got his own barber shop. It's called West Coast Cuts. You got to get a fresh cut from him. I get cut up every time. Even when I'm working up through these locks, I'm getting a new phase. The last time I had a fight, my hair was like this long, and this is how long it's been since I fought. So I'm ready, man. Excitement is the least of the feelings I have. I'm amped. I'm everything. I'm ready. I'm feeling like Godzilla for this fight, and I just thank everyone that's helped me get through this feeling.
Thank you for the time, Jordan. All the best to you over the next 8 days. And I gotta say, just looking at you and talking to you right now, I might have to watch that documentary and maybe go on the other side here with the vegan lifestyle. I'm noticing it, like even the energy levels. Like I noticed it right away. I was like, oh, this is a different guy.
Well, thank you, my man. I'm just trying to be quick, trying to be witty, and not just with my words, but just my lifestyle, everything. And man, yeah. Check out that documentary. There's a couple of them, but really the Game Changers ones I gotta give a shout out to. And there's a lot of testing that they do that will show you about why I'm feeling the way I'm looking the way I am right now. You can find all those answers on that documentary.
Awesome, Jordan. Thank you for the time, man. I appreciate it, and all the best to you next Friday night.
Hey, Mike, I appreciate you. Thank you.